Hello everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I have heard some good news for you resellers out there, for us resellers out there. If you're still watching this, you are going to hear some good news. There are some people who are watching this anymore, and that's part of the good news, which is kind of cool. And today is the perfect day to talk about something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I have done some different videos lately that are meant to... I usually try to encourage people. I try to motivate people just by simply showing what I do, but I don't directly do it. I'm going to be have a little bit more candor today, which I'm not always very good at, but we're going to do that today. And I've got some really cool sales, and I want to talk to a lot of you folks out there as well. Let's go take a look. Y'all, it's looking better in here. Oh, I gotta show you about that record thing too. I did another buyout. I'm going to one later today. Check these out. Remember when I bought these on the Commonwealth Picker channel? Finally getting to these. I think I've decided I'm gonna allow up the micro machines into kind of categories and sell them that way. But I've got so much exciting stuff going on that I want to talk about, and talk about some exciting stuff for you as well. Yeah, we might take a quick detour. I want to talk to you about the record deal I did. This is totally off the topic of today, but I want to show you this as well. Maybe we'll tie it in, but man, there's a storm brewing back there. I never show this room, y'all, never. Kids homeschool area, I took it over this week. Here's the record. This is part of, I think we sold like, what did we get up to? 50, 60, 68. So we got up to probably 68 records sold the other day. And we still have all of those. We still have hundreds and hundreds to go. That's where I film for the podcast. It's also where I do the live shows. Now, I'm going to tell you about those numbers in a minute, but only really in regards to what I want to say today. And no, it's not going to be a promo for live selling at all. That's not my point at all. We're not going to get into that. But let's start with this news that I have been seeing come across my email especially, which is strange to me, but I see this stuff all over, and I kind of look at all the comments and all the stuff that's coming in and separate it a little bit in my mind. The dog's here, the dogs want to come in. Just a minute, I'll let you in, y'all. And I use those messages, and I read a lot. I don't respond to all of them. And I've got 6 messages now that are almost identical. They're done. They're quitting. There's slightly different rationale, but there's the same overarching theme that I see over and over. And I've said for a while, all of the people out there scaring people about, AI and whatever, and how everybody's going to become a reseller, and the playing field's completely even and whatever. I've actually said that there's going to be an opposite effect in this. And I think it's starting to prove to be correct, which is a little unfortunate for me, because I think the numbers of resellers is going to stay pretty flat, and there will be an increase in online reselling, which is great for us. And it seems to be proven true. It's bad news for me in a sense, because, people watch me on social media, and the more resellers there are out there, the more people who watch. But I'm also a reseller, so I'll take that trade-off as well. It got dark out there, really. Oh, look at that, and there's a deer out there. You see that deer? I don't know if you can see him or not. Dogs would be going crazy out there. Whew, it's raining now. Pouring down rain. Listen, I'm going to try to talk. I've got so many things swimming through my brain right now, and now it's going to be so loud you can't hear me, that I'm not even sure how I'm going to get them out, but I'm so excited about the way things are going, not just for me, but I see so much opportunity out there right now. And, I'm a history guy. I was a terrible student, by the way. I don't know if you knew that, but I was B at best student, C's, D's, all that. And that was in an easy school system. And it was not because I was dumb at all. I was anything but. I wasn't motivated by anybody or anything that we were doing for the most part. The classes I got B's in, or the occasional A, were classes that I liked the teacher. Didn't matter what the subject was. That made a big difference to me, and I'll tie that into in a little bit. Beavis and Butthead Do America. Listen, I'm told all the time, I've got things today that I'm going to make profit on that people tell me all the time I'm stupid for doing. And that's kind of the message I want to send across to some of you out there who have ideas, who have thoughts going into the future. And I'm going to encourage you to do them. So Beavis and Butthead Do America. This one's 14 bucks, I think, plus shipping. All right, right after I turned the camera off last time, lightning struck right out behind here, and this place shook like crazy. The dogs went nuts. My wife was like, where are you? Where are the dogs? So we took a little bit of break. It's still crazy out there, but not near as crazy. But speaking of crazy, I would have been crazy to listen to all the voices I've heard over the years telling me, you know, this thing is dying, this is dying, this is the end of this, this is gonna, you know, this item won't sell anymore, you're crazy for selling this is ridiculous, you know, all that stuff. And the next item, this one, you know, cassettes and waste of time, and I've heard video games or all this stuff. This wasn't huge money, but I paid $1 for it. Simpsons Road Rage. I might have paid $2 for this. Sold for $14 plus shipping. So I've always been, you know, kind of a take the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And you're seeing so much change come into our marketplaces, so much speculation. People, you know, I like to think, I mentioned history earlier. I do a lot of things really terribly, just poorly. I'm not a tech guy at all. Like, that's the youngest computer I've ever bought, you know, I'm just 20 years old. I don't know how to edit video on a computer. I don't know all the ins and outs and all the technical stuff, even about what I do in reselling. There are so many things I'm poor at, but it doesn't even matter. I think today we live in a world where you can choose your path. Now, I'm not saying just ignore things that are coming, ignore trends, all that stuff, but you can find your way in this world today and carve out the way you want to do things better than we've ever been able to do it before. That's going to kind of lead me to the next. I got to see what this one sold for, because this is cool. I love selling this stuff. And it's going to lead me here to this next sale. And let me pull out two things here. I think they're both going to be the black backs on them. But boy, you want to talk about one thing that I've sold over the years and done well on. That's not high-end stuff, and the market is absolutely terrible on it right now, and I still love it, and I still go out and find it, is VHS. So this happens to be a sealed Indiana Jones VHS with Paramount watermarks, all that stuff. And it has a black back to it. I have sold 3 of these at this point, one for $150. See, this one has a black back too. Not worth anything because it's not sealed. But those are the ones you want to find as opposed to the secondary back, because that tells you it's the first edition. And man, I'll get ripped on in this video. This guy tells me sell VHS or whatever. Listen, you got to know what you're doing, and that leads me to my other statement here. You don't see tons of VHS in here. You see some, because 99% of them are worthless. But that one wasn't. So for just under 50, let's see, 59, 58, 90. I went over here and looked, and now I forgot already. What did it sell for? $58.46 plus shipping. So while I am getting more messages now, there's been times in the past where I've got a lot of these too. Usually it has to do with when the post office raises shipping prices, or when eBay raises fees or something. I get a lot of this. I'm done. It's just, you know, not for me anymore, blah, blah, blah. Which, whatever, to each his own. There's always a time to quit. Always, for all of us. There'll be a time for me to quit. I just don't want it to be soon. But along with those messages this week about people hanging it up, and I'll tell you the reason that the majority of those people gave, and I've heard a lot of frustration, even arguing, anger, people mad at me, people unsubscribing from me because I'm saying certain things. I hope people realize that what I try to do, my thing, I talk about do your thing, figure out what your thing is, and we're going to talk about what these people are now doing for themselves to incorporate their thing into also making enough money to survive. But I hope people, when they watch me, realize that my thing is pretty broad, but my real thing, the one thing that really, really brings me joy, is to be able to have the opportunity to experiment, because I've been put in this place with different types of reselling, yet still do exactly what I want to do, so that I can reach people out there. Because everybody out there who's watching, there's a lot of folks out there watching who are not at all like me. They don't resell at all like me, but they still want to watch me, and that is very flattering. And I hope it's because I'm presenting a buffet of options for people, because there truly is a buffet of options for resellers. And I get messages from people that, you know, have watched me for years, and they're doing this now, this sliver of what they used to do, and making far more money, niching down, for instance. And I watch people out there who are expanding in the everything market and becoming wholesalers into this, niche down sellers into this. They have all these different things. I get these long messages from people, and I really, really appreciate those messages. I can't get to all of them, But that makes me feel really, really good about what we're doing. And I think with all the noise out there lately, and I've contributed to the noise, I think we're missing one thing that I think is the most important. But let me tell you what I have seen in these messages lately that is intriguing to me. I've seen in 2 or 3 comments in the last week, and I've got 2 messages, direct messages on Instagram and 1 email from people who are doing something that I have suggested in the past, which is very flattering to me. But I really think that this is something that will put a lot of people back on track in their reselling business and bring them into the future, whatever it holds. And that is doing a partial niche down, which is what you absolutely love, specializing in and being an everything seller. I'm seeing more and more people go down this road. I kind of do it, right? I preserve my eBay selling. It's not necessarily a niche down eBay selling, but I've added multiple parts to my business. That's not exactly what these people are doing. They're predominantly eBay sellers, except for one of them. One of them does a few different things. And they've added live selling and wholesaling to their business to bringing more merchandise to them, but they're specializing. I'm not going to tell you the product because I really don't think they would want me to. There's a couple people I will, but there's one particular thing that this man is doing that he's shocked at specializing in this particular thing. I sold some of this stuff before too, but it makes me think maybe if I come across a big part of it, I'm looking at his margins and I'm like, man, I'm like, you're getting 30% more than anybody else is getting because this is what you do full time. Not full time, but this is his focus. And he still goes out and still is an everything seller. Now he has 2 stores. I hate 2 stores. I hate that idea, but I understand, right? Because he's marketing to this. And he also has a social media that never has his face on it, that uses different tools to bring people to his marketplace. And he has one on eBay and one off of eBay. And I really think that there's a lot of people out there who are struggling to motivate themselves. They love a particular niche, even if they don't even realize it. You know, you look in your store sometimes and you kind of figure out what you like because you pick what you like. I'm skipping the next item on my list because it's raining outside and thundering and lightning, and it's up in my kitchen right now. I'll tell you why in a minute. But that's kind of what I do, right? I still pick these things that aren't worth a ton of money, that people say are stupid, waste of time, whatever. Spend time looking for things, you know, where 99 out of 100 aren't worth anything. But that right there, and the thrill of the hunt, and the way I pick, gets me super excited so that I can get things that I'm not so excited about that are going to make me money. Uh-oh, I think the power might be going out, y'all. Please don't go out. That would be terrible. I gotta go. I got a private pick I gotta get to, and I gotta film this and ship this first. Like shoes, for instance. And these were good. It's a nice little profit. I think I paid 15, or maybe they were asking 15. I paid 10 for these hunter boots. It was in a bundle deal, so I don't know exactly what I paid. But I knew these, I've sold these before for around 50 bucks, and I'm like, well, imagine I'll get 50 for these, even if there were 15, but my guess is they were 10. And even 15 into 50 is not a bad deal on these hunter boots because they were in good shape. I'll take that sale. By the way, I'm not presenting this idea as new. I'm just presenting it as an opportunity for folks out there who may be struggling a little bit with the motivation factor, with the fact that maybe what they've done traditionally for a long time isn't working. There are so many things that are working right now, right? Hats are a little bit down, obviously. Vintage tees are a little bit down. Don't give up on those categories if that's what you're good at. Maybe even drill down and focus more. That knowledge can help you sift through the stuff that isn't going versus the stuff that is going. Figure out what is going. You know, it makes me sad that Motu figures, for instance, don't go for quite as much as they used to, because I love that stuff. It makes me a little sad that the old vintage NES stuff is a little bit down. It makes me really sad that when I started, Atari stuff sold like crazy for good money, and it's really hard to sell now. I don't ignore those categories. I still pick the things I love, and I'm out there picking the things that people tell me I'm stupid for picking. You got to stop listening to everybody. Now, this is a kind of a, you got to walk this line, right? Because there are a lot of things that aren't worth your time. Don't get me wrong. But there may be things that you enjoy that I heard somebody say the other day that somebody could niche down into Beanie Babies and make a living. And I'm like, really? You really think that's possible? And it was the niching down idea itself and the branding of a particular item or the branding of a person into a genre that might work. This kind of stuff gets me excited because I've been slowly hopefully moving people in this direction with all the changes that are going on in the world. I mean, let's face it, the world's crazy right now. With all of the AI stuff, with all of the noise, people can get distracted and not see what's also going on at the same time. I'm calling my wife. She doesn't know she's going to be on the video.
Huh?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I had a Instagram reel going at the same time. What?
Okay. Can you do me a favor?
Nope.
The stuff that you have in that bin upstairs that you've listed, a few of them have sold. Could you look on the eBay store and pull out the ones that have sold so I don't have to go in and out 3 times? Just come up one time and grab it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. By the way, I'm going to jump the gun just a little bit on going back to the original point before I get to this one right here. Again, I know I'm all over the place lately, y'all. I've got so much going on. I'm so excited about so many things because I think I made the right bet on quite a few things. One of them was looking at when I was a teacher, looking at what was going on before COVID, during COVID, and now after COVID, which is, I don't know how to describe it, but kids really did change. That group of kids that grew up over the last 10 years going through middle school and high school have a way different mentality than the rest of us. How to get this hat being out. Whoop. Y'all see the lights going in and out? Or am I just going crazy? This Srixon hat sold for $17.10. Guy wanted, I don't know what he wanted, a bunch of money. No, wait a minute. I bought this at a different hat. I asked this guy if he had any hats, and he brought out a bunch of hats, and this was one of them. I think I gave him $2 or $3 a piece for it. It sold for $17 plus shipping. When I first started teaching in like 2000-ish, those old, I graduated in 1995. And the same things that a lot of us grew up in, where you had these, you had the cool kids, you had the jocks, you had all these different classification of kids, and every, like kids do, they seek justification from people, they seek, community, they seek friendship. There's these little, cliques and all those kind of things, and then there's the popular kids, and then there's the kids that are nerdy, there's all these different classes. I'm not being critical of anybody. I grew up, matter of fact, that's why the Goonies kind of resonated with me in some ways, but I grew up in a neighborhood, in an area where it was like the misfits, essentially, is what you had. It was not affluent in any ways. There's a lot of immigrants in that area. I lived in Southern California, and it was an interesting street, block, whatever, with a bunch of different kids. And none of them quite fit anywhere, but they fit with each other, which was really, really cool. I say all that just to say that what I started to see as I was exiting teaching was the lack of the need of a kid to fit in the traditional ways. And I saw that they had friends, they had small groups, they didn't need the approval of this person or this group or that group. Because of the technology that was going into, their everyday lives, they found friendship, they found community in way different ways than I ever saw. And then I saw, even older folks, people in my family, who would be social people out and about and whatever, and they would still do that, and they still do that today, but they would reconnect with their groups using media, social media, and different things like that in big ways that transformed the way they live their lives every day. And so what I started to see is the power of digital communities growing. And I think eBay's far past that era. There used to be that digital eBay community, but now you're seeing them pop up in this brave new world of reselling where people are telling me they're quitting because the little guy stands no chance anymore. And I'm like, no, you're missing one key component, is that smaller groups that are together in community have way more power than they've ever had. Financial, economic, all kinds of things that we're not quite seeing yet. It's why I went the mode of the dibbed at 8, if you will. And I'm not going to get into that today, but it's been something I've been seeing for a while, and I'm starting to see it come through in ways that are actually economically beneficial for an entire community. I gotta do some sales because I'm so excited about this that I want to tell you everything. Because what I am starting to see is really interesting to me for resellers. Thank you to Blue Ridge Mama, by the way, for setting those by the door. I just had to go in and grab them. What I'm starting to see, and look, they've had this for years, right? Facebook communities, for instance. You know, I'm part of a cassette community on there. They don't necessarily like me because I'm a reseller, but I love cassettes as well myself, so I usually don't say anything. I just watch. But it's still kind of cool. I like that. I like that stuff. I was talking to well, I'm going to get off on so many rabbit trails. I got to focus here. What I am starting to see is inside of these smaller communities, there's a lot more buying and selling going on. It's why we chose to do the Dibbed It 8, which I also took criticism for. All of us did. We still take criticism for it. We're not, look, we don't think we're geniuses by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that if you have the ability to look at big picture stuff, you can find your place. And a lot of times that has to do with what you are interested in. And then you start to think, okay, how do I become a part of a community, build part of a community, insert yourself into something and be a part of it. Don't be trying to extract, but be a part of it. And then add value to somebody, to a group, to a community, to a niche down product, whatever it is. And what I'm starting to see is the major profitability for people in a particular niche because they love it, because they have knowledge about it, and because they can make connections, they can make sourcing connections. That just brings to mind Brad, Black Sheep Society, if you know him. He's over on Buck Mountain Show. Really nice guy. And he's an everything seller, but he's a Playmobil seller. And because he has niched down, he was up in Virginia the other day. He's like, hey, I'm up. I'm like, well, I can't see you. But it was too far away. But he has become one of the people in that community that people trust. And it's opened up huge doors. I think he said on a show the other day, 62% of his sales are Playmobil. And he's traveling around the country buying it. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I could give you more examples, but I don't think I want to for their sake because, I don't know, well, most of them would probably be okay with it. I have, of course, talked about Sarah and the Cabbage Patch Kids, Daily Cabbage over there on Instagram, but I'm seeing more and more of this stuff. And it is so intriguing to me because I am an everything seller and I want to stay an everything seller. But people who are doing two things, I know some local folks who are everything sellers, but they specialize, each one, a man and a woman, specialize in one category as well. And I think they have 3 eBay stores. And they kill it, sourcing and selling because of the specialization. And they only sell on eBay. But there's so many more opportunities now in these niches. It's why we created niche down markets and have tried to draw people in who specialize in certain things because they add so much value. It's also increased my knowledge of what I pick. I try to surround myself with people that do things different than me and glean information that can help me remain who I am, but get better in different categories. And man, I'm super excited to see some of the things that are happening. And I want to encourage folks out there who do have an expertise, who do have a love for something. Now is the time. I don't know how that is for you because everybody's different out there. I don't care if you're 80 years old and you love brooches. I don't care what it is. There's a community out there for you that you can buy and sell in and be profitable and enjoy your day all day, every day. Now, this is going to blow your mind. I have got to get to 3 more points I want to make. I don't care if you want to hear them or not. I got to get them off my mind. Exotic Coconut Body Splash Bath and Body Works, y'all. I bought a ton of this the other day, and my wife and daughter had a blast going through it. There are 3 separate sales to 3 separate people, but I'm going to say them all right here. Y'all, take a guess at what that sold for. She went through them, and I was like, hey, just pull out the good ones. You know, everything that sells for $10 or something, we'll put it on a polish and brush show and get a few bucks out of it and move on. I said, but there are some of these that are going to be good. She says, yeah, there are some that are good. So she started looking them up. She's like, did you know they were this good? Whoa. This one right here sold for $46.55 plus shipping. This one wasn't as good. Waikiki Beach Coconut still sold for $15 plus shipping. And this one right here, a little 5% off discount, $46.55 plus shipping. That breaks me even right there. After fees and everything, it breaks me even on my whole buy. And you're not going to believe how much I bought. Speaking of, and this is a little off topic, but still the same, I am seeing folks who are, how do I say this? I'm trying not to encourage people to live sell, because I think that there's such a small amount of people who it will really benefit for, that I don't want to be the guy that's like, yeah, this is the time. Go sell on Whatnot. You'll make as much money. Go sell on my marketplace. You'll make the money. It's not that simple. It just isn't that simple. I've encouraged people to buy lately because I've been making a lot of money sourcing over there. But there is a certain amount of folks out there. I have done what I've done with these marketplaces with live selling. I've been putting stuff on my videos. People are like, oh, if you keep mentioning Dibdib, I'm not going to watch your show. Listen, I would obviously like to make money and do that stuff, but I want to show opportunities. I cannot tell you. Every day I hear from people who are doing their own thing. It's time for everybody to think what their own thing is. And some of you may be already doing your own thing. Whatever it is. Maybe, like me, an everything seller is your thing. And that's awesome. But I really think, like I said, I've got multiple accounts just this week of people who stepped out and did something that has changed everything for them. Not just the money-wise, because a lot of them are making as much or more money, but it's changed their mindset. It's changed their everyday life. And I think that, I don't know what it is out there, and I could rattle off a bunch of stuff, but everybody's different out there. There are so many opportunities right now. I would encourage people to sit down and think, where do they fit in to this big mix of everything that's going on that they will thoroughly enjoy? Y'all, I saw a store the other day with somebody that was selling nothing but, I call them Happy Meal toys, even though they weren't all Happy Meals, because that's just McDonald's. But there are two of these. I gotta find the right one. 10. Y'all ever see Pelican on something? It's usually worth it. I don't know if this one's it or that one. I'm just going to show you this one and change it out if I need to. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling people to go sell Happy Meal toys. But what I started to look at, this is called a 1080 hardback laptop complete computer case, waterproof, crush proof, $54.95 for that one plus shipping. So I started to compare their ASP on the same items as other people, and I'm like, these people are getting 40% more for this stuff. Now, it's not a lot of money. I can't imagine how you scale that thing, but I'm sure they enjoy it, and I'm sure they're an expert in it, and it's demanding more money for them, and that's the kind of thing I'm seeing. But I'm not just seeing it on eBay. I'm seeing it in these other communities. I was talking to a lady the other day who had a ton of cassettes, and she wanted to sell them off, and it led her to a group she found on Facebook where she sold these items off. And she's like, I had no idea the amount of people who loved the stuff that I loved and whatever. I'm like, there is a group for everybody out there, let me tell you. And it's exciting to see the ability to have commerce in these groups is growing quickly. I met a lady I spoke to at a sale in South Carolina who told me that she has 2 eBay stores. I don't recommend 2 eBay stores, by the way, but whatever. It could work, and it does work for some people. Genie Radio Control. Got a little story about these two. Sold this one I bought it for $1. Sold for $16.95 plus shipping. It's a radio. It's an RC thing for like a garage door opener. And so I talked to her because she was looking at Christmas ornaments that I had just looked at and walked away from. And I saw her go there, and she knew who I was. And so I started asking her questions. She says, I am predominantly, most of my business comes from my small store. I didn't ask her about her other store. I just assumed it was a everything store like I have. And most of her business comes from Christmas ornaments. And, I asked her questions that people might have, like, is your business really, really strong in fourth quarter compared? So she's like, yeah, it's definitely stronger, but I sell stuff year round. And she knows everything about Christmas ornaments you could ever imagine. And she does really good money. Now, really good money for her is probably not, you know, $100,000 income, but she was clearly retired, and it's something she loves and she's really successful at. And so all of this has opened me up to be a bulk buyer of things that I don't particularly like for instance, that garage door stuff. I'm like, do I really want to go through and look up all these computer parts and all these boards and all this stuff? And do I want to do that? And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy it all. I'm going to put it over on Shop Commons and sell it all off for a good profit to somebody who knows that stuff, who deals in that stuff, who uses it. And I thought, well, maybe that person's not on my little marketplace, Shop Commons. So I just started to list it over here, and we've made good money on it. But the record deal, for instance, and I sell records, but I'm like, do I want to spend all day, every day for 2 weeks selling records? I spent $1,000 on this record collection. And I had an offer for $2,000 on the table. I almost took it, but I had already promised I was going to bring it over to Dibbed It. And so that's what we did. I told you I'd give you all an update on this, so here's your update. So we sold 68 records. There was probably 400 of them. There was probably 100 of them that are going to be hard to sell. We sold a lot of really good ones. We still have a lot of really good ones left. And probably 200 to 225 that are really worth selling, that are, you know, good records. And I'm 3 hours into this in labor. So 1 hour to pick it up, 2 hours for the show. That's all I've done so far. And I have a profit of about $15 after paying Jess for her 2 hours of helping me run the show and all that. And we still have that much left. I was hoping to make $1,000 on that transaction in, let's say, I think we'll probably have to run for 5. I'll probably put a total of 8 hours of labor. And I wanted to make $1,000. It's, you know, that's not bad. What is that? $125 an hour. And I think we're going to surpass that. I'll give you an update as we sell the rest off. I think the next batch is going to go on Dibbed It on maybe Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week. So if you're interested in those, we have a ton of amazing ones left. Speaking of a niche that I know a lot of people are in, I want to hear yours if you're willing to share them down there. And if anybody out there has done what I'm talking about lately, I gotta find the right one. I think it's this one. Edge brand. Bought this one at that exact sale. I was talking to that lady with the Christmas ornaments, by the way. And then an old one's been listed for a while. I think this first one sold for 55, second one sold for 46. I have to thank Marcia for this. Marcia, I think you are a viewer. I don't see a message, but thank you very much because multiple purchases. So I appreciate you, Marcia. Those two sold, like I said, right around $100 for those, plus shipping. You know, I think what has allowed me to see this more acutely is the fact that we did open those Dibbed It 8 marketplaces where people don't join until they see that one of them fits them perfectly, and then I get to communicate with them and see their business models, and they're all coming back with good messages to folks who are doing this because they're finding their right niches, finding the right communities. I think it's really kind of inspirational. Texas Star. This is a cool one, y'all. I got to tell you this story really quick, although it's coming out on the Picker channel. Look at this. And I'm going to show you that on the Picker channel here pretty quick. If it hasn't come out already, I don't think it has. Maybe next week. This guy right here, Texas Star Modulator V+. You won't believe it. This guy had a table of this stuff, you know, CB type stuff and amps and stuff like that, which I know nothing about. And it was this older house. You could tell there wasn't a lot of money, whatever. But these were all set up on the table, and they had high price tags on them. And there was a lady sitting there, and I was like, man, this is some of the stuff. I've sold some of this before. It's worth good money. And this guy knew, she called him up on the phone, and he knew what he was talking about. He absolutely knew it. He knew what he paid for them. He knew what they were worth, all that stuff. I'm like, man, this is going to be a hard negotiation. The lady there clearly wanted them sold. She could have cared less about them. But he's throwing out numbers that are just, I'm like, I can't pay that. But he clearly knew what he was doing. And I ended up paying for, I think, 3 items. I ended up paying $200 for, which I thought was crazy at the time. But I'm looking at similar, like that one's not even out there. I'm like, I think I can make $300. If I give him $200, I think I can turn a profit of about $300 on this. And we've listed them all. 2 things have sold so far. This is one of them. This sold for $200 plus shipping. All right, finally stopped raining, which is cool. Sold another one of these Genie garage door component things. We've been in the profit for a while now because we paid $16 for everything. I've made like 4 or 5 sales already out of it. This one sold for $40. I don't even know what it is. $40 plus shipping. All right, back to the very top of this video with the people that are done. 5 of the 6 gave the same exact reason why they're done. Some of them added in extra ones, but all of them mentioned AI in a negative way that you could tell there's fear. Listen, I am on board with you. I am not a tech guy. The last thing I want to learn is new systems and new ways of doing things. I'm going to take it incrementally. And I don't think it is the end all and be all for resellers. I do not. I do think it will increasingly, without even really knowing, become a part of what you're doing. There will be some people that go all in on it and will probably reap benefits from it, in my opinion. And there will be some people who completely reject it and will be just fine. And then there'll be some people who think they're rejecting it, but in reality, we're using it every day as well. I thought this comment on the Trash to Cash podcast that we did about this topic in our strange, well, everything's strange at Trash Cash podcast, but you get the point. It came from Tim, my buddy Tim, over the years. He says, AI is going to be the future, obviously, but AI listing tools are going to fail. AI listings are awful. And once everyone starts using them, the people like me who don't will stick out and get better attention rates than AI listings. The amount of time you're going to have to use to double check your listings is the same time it would take to fill them, blah, blah, blah. Imagine all the INADs people are going to get because they used AI listings. So, Tim, obviously, you know, you're my buddy. You do say something there at the very beginning I obviously agree with. I actually agree with quite a bit of this. I just would like to add to it. Because so many people are saying, not only just the learning curve part of it and they don't want to deal with it. I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think, by the way. But more so, I've seen people say this is going to bring so many more resellers. Everybody's going to resell everything themselves and whatever. I totally disagree with that. I think you're going to see, look, even people who are already selling are saying I'm quitting. And at the same time saying I'm quitting because so many people are coming in. It's like Yogi Berra, you know, the quotes that he used to say. There's one, most of them he did never say, but they're just attributed to him. He says, nobody goes to that restaurant anymore. It's too crowded. I feel like that's what's going on here. I feel like there will be fewer resellers. I've gone over these arguments before, and your expertise in a category or in every category for an everything seller, or your ability to go out and make connections with people, those things are going to allow us as resellers to make far more money. And yes, I do think AI is going to play a huge part of the future. I do think there's an argument out there that it's yet to be seen. I think it's a poor argument looking at history that, you know, there's so many jobs going to be lost to AI that so many people are going to turn to the option of reselling to make money. I think there might be some legitimacy to that for some folks. But typically when this stuff happens, and nothing's ever happened quite like this before, this is big, with the exception of the Industrial Revolution. You know, everybody used to work on a farm. Like, you go back and look at charts of what people did by profession through the centuries. Most people made food, got food in some way, right? The idea of class structures didn't start to see that differentiation of jobs and stuff because you didn't need everybody to farm. Your job was to get enough food to survive every day. So what you started to see with the Industrial Revolution is a shift in what people did. There is a time period of angst, of fear, and all those things, but people tend to find other things. And there will be people who lose their jobs, just like there were people who lost their jobs when you went from the horse and buggy to the automobile. It's going to happen, and it will happen to some folks out there who are listening to this show. I think that stuff's overblown, and I do also think, and I could be wrong, and change and upheaval, they do cause strife, and so I'm not alleviating the fears out there. I would say that I think Tim is right. And I'm actually taking this tact, but not in reselling. I'm taking it in social media. There's always a certain amount of people who go against the grain, who take the road less traveled. There's going to be a lot of AI, social media, for instance. There already is. But there is going to be a certain group of people who like tradition. I like to be romantic about the past. They are still, it's what I bank my whole business on. People, no matter what age, get to a certain age where they're romantic about their own past. And you just got to tap into that. Hopefully, you know, as I age, there'll be still enough people who like what I like, but I still have to move into the 90s, the 2000s, and start looking at those things that my son is now nostalgic about when I'm picking. I'm getting way off in tangents, but I'm trying to address a fear out there that is clearly out there from people. Listen, if you're 70 years old sitting in your apartment and you sell knives, whatever it is you sell, there's going to be a place for you in reselling. Don't let anybody scare you like I've seen these people get scared out of doing something you love. If you're done with it, be done with it. There's a time to stop everything. But don't let any fear stop you. There will be a place for everybody. I say all that just to say as well, you know, when you're listening, if you're so gracious enough to listen to me ramble every day, when you're listening to me, I will present things all the time to different people, but it's always couch in, if this is right for you, and I truly do mean that. Some things, AI is not going to be right for everybody. It is going to be something that everybody's going to have to deal with in some way. And I do agree with Tim in the short term and in the long term to some degree, but productivity and speed and enjoying your life in different ways as well, it's going to be a part of this. And I'm going to present different things as they come up, because let me tell you, they're coming. Winter bouquet, I almost said boutique. It's strange how Pioneer Women's stuff still sells, but a lot of people gave it as gifts and stuff and clearly never used it. Bought this one for $1 the other day, sold for $15 plus shipping. And for those of you who think, you know, new technologies like AI, which is going to be massive, are going to change everything quickly, this might change your mind. Somebody bought this text telephone. I mean, come on, talk about old technology. Super print quick I don't know. I guess it prints out the text. I don't even know. Maybe a phone call? I'm not even sure, but this can't be new technology at all. And it's sold. I bought it at a sale, and I'm like, this can't be a high sell-through rate item. But I saw some comps, and the price was right. I'm like, okay, $80 plus shipping. Y'all, I'm going to try to continue to promote things I think are important to me, the things that I'm doing, and that's I've lost a lot of subs lately from not a lot, a few that send me messages and say I'm not watching you anymore, and this is why. Some of them are, you know, because you promote your dipped at 8 or whatever, and that's fine. People, that's whatever works. I'm trying to not only build something, that is something I am good at, which is building things with other people. At least I fancy myself good at those things. But I've got a lot lately that, you know, because you're mentioning AI, I'm just done with you. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, especially coming from me. And I feel like that's probably because my audience is much like me in some ways. A lot of you don't want to experience the change. You don't want I'm not afraid. I don't think many of you are afraid, but you would prefer not to have to. So you tend to lean towards the arguments that, this is terrible and this is not going to work and this is whatever. And all that might be true in the short term. You know, I remember the giant cell phones, and my rich friends would have them because I went to a private school for a couple of years when I was in California. And I remember all that crap, and it didn't work. It never worked, and it was outrageously expensive, and people said that stuff back then. But you can't say that now. And I think that's how this will be. I also had a friend, I'll tell that story in a minute. I mentioned people unsubscribing because I'm sure I'll lose a few people here, which is fine, I suppose. People can have their own political opinions. I have mine. I am a nonpartisan seller on eBay, okay? I will sell any party. It does not matter. What is this thing? Full send, Donald Trump squish doll. Look at this thing. And there you go. $25 I think it sold for, plus shipping. And let me tell you, if this was Obama or, you know, whatever, name your Democrat, I'd sell that too. Have no problem whatsoever. There's a few people I wouldn't sell anything necessarily personally that was glorifying, say, a Hitler or a Mao or a Che or somebody. I would Pol Pot. I'm not going to do that. That's personal to me. I wouldn't do that, just looking at history in a big scale. But, you know, to each their own. I'm okay with selling it for sure. Maybe Jess isn't. Did you notice that got hidden right there? I don't know Jess's political leanings. Have no idea. I never ask. I don't care. I like her. She's cool. So she hid it behind those Valentines. Did get a message from somebody who said that they're niching down into 5 categories. I'm like, that's not really niching down. They're like, no, I'm going all in niching down into 5 categories. I'm like, okay, that sounds like Tim over the years. He's that kind of guy. He's got expertise in certain areas. I really am not an expert in anything. I mean, I know a little bit more in certain categories than some people. Like, you know, silly ones like... I know which, here you go, I'll take some people off. I know which Disney black diamonds to buy. There are a few, not very many, but there are a few. And they're not the traditional ones you see in the clamshells. There's 2 clamshells that are actually okay, but you almost never find them. But I'm not an expert, but I have gotten a little bit better in different categories, and I feel like I could niche down if I really wanted to. I just don't want to. You don't like the rain out here, do you? Staying dry. This shirt right here, I've had this a while. I bought a ton of Nike Dry Fit University of Houston stuff a long time ago. And all of it sold except for this polo. And it finally sold. Not for much, $12.88 plus shipping. All right, y'all, because of all the things that I've been doing here, I have been handed the different things I'm kind of dabbling in and having fun. I've been handing out more cards. Not Commonwealth picker cards, just like I buy things cards. And people that don't even know I have a channel or anything like that. And I've been pushing that, trying to make phone calls, trying to meet people when I'm out at garage sales. And I've been getting calls back. I've got another one. And I wish I could take you with me on this trip, but this will be on the Commonwealth Picker channel eventually. And I'm excited to see what they have. I've got another one lined up from a friend of mine who said, hey, I know a guy who buys stuff and whatever. And they called them and they called me. And then I called them. And this one sounds really cool too. And it is the sourcing season. I would like to preserve some of this stuff for the winter time when I'm not out there at garage sales because too much is incoming. But with our live selling platforms, I just keep buying and keep selling. So it should be fun. That reminds me, I got to remind you, this Scotty Cameron Futura Phantom Putter is over there on dibditsports.com. And we're trying to create a lot of little communities inside of a bigger community. Not doing a golf one alone, but we're looking for fishermen and people that play pickleball and softball and baseball, any sport you can imagine. There's a $1 offer going on right now until Tuesday evening. So if you go put an offer for $1, you don't have to pay anything unless you win it. You want to pay $1 because if you pay $1 and we choose your name randomly, you're going to get this Futura Phantom Scotty Cameron putter for $1, free shipping sent to you. So go over there and put your offer in. And for those of you who are scared or who don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with it. Don't agree with me. Don't agree with me. Make good arguments in your own mind. Try to find your place in this or continue chugging along the road that you're on. And if that's working for you, then that's what you should be doing. But always be aware of what's going on around you and try to do the things that preserve the things that you love and preserve your income. And I hope I don't turn anybody off by saying a lot of these things, but I feel like it's necessary at times, and a lot of what I say is not for everybody. And I try to say that all the time, but if I don't, remember that, and I'm always appreciative of you guys out there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you next time.